Silvia Rodriguez-Berger, and I am the curator of this event. And I'm really happy and excited of celebrating poetry and women artists. We have poets from Venezuela, Chile, Brazil, the Dominican Republic, Spain, Colombia, and the USA. I'll dive straight away and introduce the first poet. Patricia Longhitano was born in Brazil and lived in Manaus until she was 8 years old. She moved to Italy with her adoptive parents until 2005, when she decided to move to the UK in 2005. Sorry, she was 8 years old when she moved to Italy, and then in 2005, she decided to move to the UK. Since then, she has been living in London, working as a nanny. She started writing poems in English more than 10 years ago. Some of her poems have appeared in the anthology Un Nuevo Sol, the Rialto magazine, the South Bank Poetry magazine, and the Delinquent. Patricia, we are all yours.
So I'm going to read the 3 poems, and I would like to start with the poem that's in the FLAWA booklet, and it's titled Grapevines and Red Poppies. When after lunch, we both lie down for a quick nap, and we start snoring, unable to contrast the heat from the white walls. Outside, the cicalas keep on screaming rather than singing, while we try to not even graze each other's feet because of the sultriness. 2 bodies trying to cool down and rest from a morning walk in the neighbor's vineyard. There, heavy branches of grapevines were preparing themselves for September and the harvesting men. For the kitchen table, you picked up a bouquet of white flowers. Red poppies and tall daisies were hiding your long fingers. I prefer to scatter them all over the house, on the bathroom window, on the vase next to the TV, on top of the chest of drawers in our bedroom. Then we hear the cats moving some empty pots outside the French windows, and you get a little bit closer. I have now my eyes half closed, trying to moisten my mouth. Then an arm and your neck are around me, and all I have left to say is, coffee, amor mio. The second poem, thank you. The second poem, I wanted to read another poem, but actually last night I've been to the first FLAWA Festival event. That was the gender equality on the film industry with the director of the movie, Miriam Miente. And I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was beautiful, and it reminded me of not my childhood, because they were older than that, but they weren't still adults. And it made me think of how we were able to communicate more when we weren't actually speaking, if it makes sense. And that made me think of this poem that I wrote a few years ago. Magnolia Tree. My mother sold me a yellow dress. I found it this morning, laid in my chair when I woke up. She brushes my hair and keeps on brushing it, even when there are no more knots. She tells me how lucky I am to have so much hair, and that I'm allowed to choose a candy from the jar in the hall. I quickly tie the laces of my sneakers, and already smelling it, I choose the frizzy cherry red papery package. I can feel through my fingers the grains being squashed and moved back and forth. The doorbell rings, and I run out screaming my best friend's name while holding up high and shaking the candy. He smiles and tries to reach for it, but I move too fast, giving him my back while I open the package. He lingers on me, but I push him away. My annoyed mother's face calms me down and proposes us to go to sit in the grass and share it. We sit under the magnolia tree, silently. I pass him the candy. He wets the swizzle stick in his mouth. Then in the red powder while I straighten up my skirt and put a lock of hair behind my ear. He opens his mouth, while we both try to be quiet and hear the fizz crackling. After we finish the candy, we lie down on our sides, silently listening to our breathing, the grass moving, and the chemical fruity flavor dissolving in our mouth. Above us, the wind shakes the leaves and the white pinkish flowers. My mother asks us if we want something to drink, but we both shout that we are fine. While trying to measure his wrist for a daisy chain, he starts humming Who Killed Cock Robin. On the last daisy, I get up, and while tying the chain on him, we both sing, Who tolled the bell? I'll toll the bell. Thank you. So now, thank you very much. I guess it's my turn to introduce the next poet. Is Ana Maria Reyes. Ana Maria Reyes is a poet from Caracas, Venezuela, daughter of filmmakers and social justice fighters. She grew up among books, film reels, and folk music, which since a very young age helped her to understand the poetry as a way of relating to the world. She studied arts and documentary filmmaking. Her work has been anthologized in Leyendo Poesía en London, Todas las voces, todas, El ojo de la cultura, 2019. Please, let's put your clap hands together, emojis. And let's welcome Ana Maria Reyes.
Right, hello everyone. I'm really happy to be here and sharing this space with amazing people today. Right, so I'm gonna read to you, I think, 3 poems, but I mainly write in Spanish. So what I did this time was I translate my poems. So I really want to read them in Spanish because Spanish is mainly the language I know how to use in poetry. So I'm gonna try to read them first in Spanish, then in English. So I'm gonna read the first 2, and then if there is extra time for the third one in English and in Spanish, you just, guys from the festival, just let me know if there is a space, okay? But I just kind of want everyone to listen in both languages, okay? Right, so I'm gonna start with a poem I write really, really recently. It's a bit intense and dark, but it's sort of a bit of, well, poetry is about what you feel at this moment, and it's a hard time for everyone. So I just kind of like, this kind of came out from, so, and then the other one is more joyful, I think. Right, so I'm just gonna start first. You'll listen to the Spanish, and then I'll try with my English translations. Right, so the first one is called Piernas Terrestres, and it says, entre las piernas lleva un silencio de alas rojas, la cavidad dolida, la visión seca, el hueso triangular de esquinas parcas, de guerra triste, el cuerpo memorioso, aqueja con silbidos, el usurpar lento de araña negra, naciente, brazos extendidos que salivan los poros, regados de vacío, caídos de sombra, llenos de delirios. Las piernas pronuncian estrategias movibles, fragilidades cínicas, itinerarios precavidos. Las piernas sofocan el deseo y el olvido, la trampa, la lúcida trampa de saberse vacías. Color arrebatado por el cristal melodioso que emite cercos de hastío y una imagen pálida de ave dormida. Y tiemblan las manos, resurgidas de arena, en la caída, en la fuga. En el otro, el destierro, y se asfixia en la tierra que trae entre las piernas. Right, so I'm going to read the English version now for those of you, yeah. And it says, in English would go like, between her legs she carries a silence, a red-winged silence, a sore cavity, a dry vision, the triangular bone made of calm corners of sad war. The memorious body afflicts with whistles the slow usurpation of a black spider that rises. Expanded arms, salivated pores, irrigated with emptiness, fallen with shadows, filled with delirious sights. The legs pronounce mobile strategies, cynical fragilities, cautious itineraries. The legs suffocate the desire and the oblivion, the tramp, the lucid tramp of knowing their own emptiness. The color is rushed by the melodious crystal that broadcasts shigas of boredom and a pale image of a sleeping bird. And the hands shiver, reappearing in the sand, in the fall, in the escape, the exile, and she suffocates on the land that carries them on her legs. Right, so that's the second one. Do I still have time for another one? Yep. Is that girls? Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, right. So this last one would be a poem written under the lockdown, and it has a lot to be with how I feel, or yeah, we all feel, and in this trapped world in which we live now. And it's called Islas Magnéticas. So it says, Islas Magnéticas de sabor ascendente, enclaves de piel tibia, de coraza terráquea, la pared del sueño, el oficio de la boca. Las terminaciones nerviosas desbocadas, transmigradas, el árbol crece hacia adentro, las venas también. Así los cuerpos confinados a su propia vestimenta, a sus propias carnes y huesos, los ojos también hacia adentro, las palmas extendidas, dilatando el cuerpo, lanzándolo al frente, intentando huir hacia el espacio. Afuera hace un sol que calma los dientes y sobre la ventana enfurece el azul más eléctrico. Afuera huele a pájaro nuevo, a tez liberada, a cielo pesado, a orilla náufraga. Afuera las plantas estallan hacia la luz, expanden sus pieles limpiamente, oscuro aire solar, como lluvia de septiembre al despertar. Yo duermo descalza y apelmazada en la orilla de mi cama, gesticulo caricias secas que redundan el encierro. Right, and that was the Spanish version. I'm going to go for the English one. An English one would say, magnetic islands of ascendant taste, warm skin enclaves of terrestrial shield, the wall of the dreams, the purpose of the mouth. The nerve endings are out of control. The tree grows inwards, the veins too, the bodies confined to their own clothes, to their own meat and bones. The eyes also inwards, the palms extended, dilating the body, throwing it forward, trying to escape towards the space. Outside, the sun calms with it, and over the window, an electric blue infuriates. Outside, smells like a new bird, like a liberated skin, like a heavy sky, like a wrecked shore. Outside, the plants burst towards the light, expand their skins tidily, dark solar air, as if it was September rain when it wakes up. I sleep barefoot and dance on the corner of my bed, gesticulate dry gestures that result in my own confinement. And yeah, that's those were the 3 poems of today. So really happy to share it with you. Right, so I think it's time for me to introduce, so first of all, thank you very much to everyone who is here and who listen to me. That's great. Right, so I'm gonna introduce, and I'm really happy to introduce to Xaviera Ringeling, which is our next poet. Xaviera is my friend. She's a great poet. We are partners in crime in a really, really beautiful project we have at the moment called Pandemic Poetry. So I really, really admire her. I think her poetry is fantastic. So she's a Chilean poet based in London. Her poetry in Spanish was awarded in 2000 by the 2019 New Voices Prize by the feminist publishing house Torremosas in Spain. Her first poetry book, Alba, which is a really, really good book and I highly recommend it, was published in October 2019 in the UK. She's an active member of the workshops and Greenwich Mean Time and Greenwich Poetry. Xaviera holds a VA in philosophy and an C, in environmental politics from UCL. She was born in Paraguay, lived in Ecuador and Bolivia as a child, and resided in New York and Boston during her studies. And Xaviera works as a Spanish teacher and an environmental researcher in London. So it's a pleasure to me to introduce you to Xaviera. So yeah.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, it's a pleasure to me to be introduced by Anna and to share this space with such an amazing poet. I love your poems that I've listened already, and this is quite exciting, so thank you for the organizers at FLAWA Festival. And I think I'm going to start with a couple of poems that are very dear to me, that are part of my pamphlet Drum and Lung, which is a pamphlet written mostly in English. Maybe I'll include some poems in Spanish, but it's a pamphlet that is very dear to me because it has all to do with music and what that creates for me. So the first poem has no title. I wake up with these songs and the drum of excitement at the edge of my ribcage, as if my heart was about to set itself loose and escape. My hunger, my hunger, my hunger is a winged reptile. One life will not keep it. One life will never be enough. And changing the subject, and this is a future publication, it will be part of the FLAWA booklet. And this poem is inspired by my current job in an office doing a lot of data crunching, trying to save the environment and probably failing, but trying. And we work a lot with data, and there are some plans to kind of revamp all the operations. So this is inspired in that real life kind of experience, but it's also a work of fiction. And it's called The New Ruler. We inhabit our well-lit margin in a glass column among millions of margins in thousands of similar columns. We exist with subtle absence as a refuge for the mind. We endure, tied from the eyelids to the spreadsheet for the sake of datum, the new ruler. Today, we navigate the cells by eyeball alone, without the comfort of a pivot table, working mechanically into templates to replace one digit with another, mostly zeros and ones and the occasional 7, for the sake of datum, the new ruler. See, this machine, though modernity's got, reflects our human imperfections, the limit in our competence coding it. Thus we feed it our retina's blood, and we clean its bugs incessantly for the sake of datum, the new ruler. Soon they will bring a bigger, smarter machine that will self-code better than we can code, that will learn better than we can learn. And we will fill in applications and go on training courses and get high FEMA in the eye to learn to work this machine for the sake of datum, the new ruler. And yeah, I could read something in Spanish for you, but I think I'm out of time. You tell me, or not. Can I do one in Spanish? Just for the sake of my own time. Yeah. I'll do one in Spanish, but I don't have translation. Is that okay? Where I have a translation. Okay. I'll do one in Spanish without a translation. And this is from my book, Alba. A veces pasos que rompen los delgados filamentos del cielo. La piel nos arde contra el viento mientras el cemento se esconde bajo la hierba, sin rumbo. A veces damos pasos que agrietan la luz tenue de la tarde. El musgo nos sube por los tobillos y las aves anidan en la hendidura de nuestros ojos, sin rumbo. A veces caminamos en círculos hacia el centro. El follaje crece a nuestras espaldas y la cordillera se colma de nieve. sin rumbo. A veces damos pasos que doblan el orden indivisible del tiempo. So it is it's a pleasure to me to introduce the next writer. She is Karlina Veras, a Dominican author and screenwriter turned Londoner. She's mainly inspired by childhood memories and family anecdotes, and has been writing from an early age. Her first collection of flash fiction in Spanish, Yun Yun, Keeps You Cool, has been successfully acclaimed by critics of the Latin American literary world. She is currently working on various projects, including a poetry collection, a script for the future film, and English version of Yun Yun. And I can say from my experience that I've read Karlina's book, and it is fantastic. It is full of truth and tenderness and a very bleak yet beautiful reality of her country. She's a great author, and it's an honor to me to present her.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's such an honor for me to be here and also to actually follow all these amazing poets. Thank you, Xaviera, that was amazing. Thank you, Ana Maria, thank you, Patricia, and thank you, FLAWA, Teresa, and Silvia for actually inviting us here. Without further ado, I'm going to read some of my poems. I'm going to read some of my poems that I'm working for my next collection, which is in English, and I'm really excited about. And actually having this event has made me even go further into them. So I'm really happy. So yeah, you guys are actually going to experience some, let's say, previews of things that will be published hopefully very soon. This poem is called Silence. Silence is creepy. It remembers nothing, understands everything. Blurry. Time ticks. I don't know on what. I shiver. So close what I could become. On who I could become. There's no one around. But silence stalks me like a serial killer, waiting patiently, cautiously. When would be the best moment to strike? Careful, immortal, omnipresent. If I lose faith, I die. What is one thing without the other? What is my better half? The noise that keeps me going, the fire in my eyes. You only live once, they say. How dare you? You've forgotten me already. Now you must find me. So yeah, that's one poem that I got for you guys. I read this other one that I wrote kind of what represents how I am. I'm a very all or nothing type of girl. I don't believe in balance. I don't believe in the gray. Well, sometimes there is gray, but I'm very much one way or the other. So this comes from that, basically. I like living on the edge, cycling to work, eating shellfish, not washing fruits, turning yogurt past its expiration date, being somehow heavy by not avoiding anything, being out there, somehow exposed. I am here, and somehow I feel I should be somewhere else. Maybe I am somewhere else. Staying here now, that feels safe. I might try make it better. I stare at my phone, scroll. I've done nothing. I might have to go to the bank, or wait a minute, I can't. I don't want to be so edgy, so sharp. Should I go for balance instead? I might not have a choice, somewhere in between, somewhere important and someone irreplaceable, replaceable. Nothing is safe in all this rioting. Maybe that is why I do it. over and over and over again, my words, all that is me hidden in words. Better to go now than later. If I wait too long, I might piss my pants. Hold on, I just did. By the way, I haven't pissed my pants. That was just poetry. So yeah, I have another one that, oh, thank you. So this one, I want to read, I want to read something from my book, Junjun Palakarot, Junjun Keeps You Cool. I am working on the English translation, as Xaviera said, so if I can read, it's very short. It's a flash fiction short story, but it's very poetic. So I'm going to read the short story in Spanish and translate in English, if that's okay, Silvia. Is that cool? Just very small. And this one's called El Jabón. I'll read it in Spanish first, and then I'll go into the English. El Jabón. Marianela se sentó ahí, a la orilla del río, con el montón de ropa a su lado. Una a una, como piezas de porcelana, las tomaba y las echaba al río. Las ahogaba un buen rato, agarrándolas fuertemente con el puño de las manos. No vaya a ser que se las llevara la corriente. Ahí, agachadita, lavaba su ropita, tranquila. Una a una las lavaba, las echaba al río, las estrujaba con ese preciado jabón que le traía a su hermano de la capital y las volvía a entrar. Religiosamente así hacía todos los jueves, hasta que se le acabó el jabón. Ya no pudo lavar más. Oh, thank you, Yael. It's one of my favorites too. I will read it in English now for the ones that couldn't understand in Spanish. This is called Soap. Marianela sat down on the riverbank, the huge pile of clothes by her side. One by one, she picked them up, and as if they were china plates, dipped them in the river. She kept them under a good while, gripping them tightly in her clenched fists. No way was the current going to sweep them away. There she was, all bent over, washing her clothes, calm as she could be. One by one, she washed them, dipping them in the river, scrubbing them with that precious soap her brother brought her from the capital, then dipping them in again and again. She did this religiously every Thursday until she ran out of soap. Now she can't wash anymore. Thank you very much. Those are my 3 poems, and thank you so much for everything. I think now it's Sylvia's turn.
Thank you so much to the poets. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing poetry, for creating magic in this extraordinary time.